Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. It was an eventful calendar year in 2025 in Clinton. On the WHOW Morning Show Wednesday, Clinton City Administrator Tony Harris told the Heart Media Group perhaps the biggest highlight of the year was all the industry announcements that will impact the community.
Yeah, I've mentioned that several times on the show that, the relationship between DC and the city of Clinton and myself and Kurt Homan, it's a great relationship. And we work together on lots of different projects, housing projects, economic development, new businesses. And I think that's I think that's why we've had such a banner year, that partnership working together. Anytime I take a phone call of a possible new business or just, anyone asking questions, I meet with them, and then we set up a meeting with DC as well, and kind of a dual meeting at that point. So yeah, it's been a great year, and it's that partnership is great, and we're going to continue with that throughout the new year.
Perhaps the biggest announcement of the calendar year was the Meta Constellation announcement from the summer. Mayor Helen Michalossi credits the community and its appeal to Constellation to remain in DeWitt County for many more years.
To know that for 20 years we're going to have that tax-based support is important. But it's also, I think, important to note that it's a great agreement with Meta. We didn't have anything to do with that agreement, obviously, as it stands. But they chose to stay here and keep working here. And that says a lot about the potential workforce and the workforce they've garnered from this area. And certainly from Clinton, and that Clinton is a big supporter of that power plant. When we say we didn't really have anything to do with Meta and Constellation, but the people who live here, run businesses here, work here, own houses here, they influence greatly whether a company wants to stay or go. And that was their choice. They didn't have to renew for 20 years here. So I hope the people in Clinton know that they do play a part. They are connected to the good things that are happening. Right? We have a great library, and that pulls people in. We have a workforce here ready, willing, smart, and able to go to work. So when we say, yep, the city did this and Kurt does this and all this works, but everybody who lives here also plays a part in that.
According to Harris, the emphasis on cleaning the community up has been very beneficial. He feels those efforts correlate to businesses wanting to come to a community to establish itself here.
Well, again, yeah, we made some progress there. The last 2 weeks, we took down 2 homes that have been standing, abandoned, and bad shape for several years. And one was in the 700 block of South Kane. We got that one taken down, and another on the corner of Elizabeth and Woodlawn. That one's taken down. So kind of how I'm working through this is step by step. And Helen, she's going to talk a little bit about the block by block program, and that kind of goes along with this project that I'm working on. Again, you can tie these things in with economic development too, because I really believe, and I've mentioned this several times, that you have to start with getting the town cleaned up, getting these abandoned buildings that have sat empty for years, getting those down and make the city of Clinton look attractive to businesses. And I really think that it starts right there, and that's what we're doing. And Helen's got big plans for the block by block.
Well, those who live in the neighborhoods with the abandoned houses too, they have a right to not live in a neighborhood with an abandoned house for 20 years. Their property value, their safety, folks have a right to not have that.
You drive by and you look at that neighborhood now with those 2 abandoned homes down. It just makes the entire neighborhood look so much better
and safer, quite frankly.
And that's why we're doing that.
The mayor also touts the completion of the Kiwanis Park renovation as a major accomplishment for the city of Clinton this year. Harris points to streamlining several forms at City Hall, going digital, and having access to those online. We'll have more with Harris and Mayor Michalasi in the days ahead about what's to come in 2026 for Clinton. Districts across Illinois and the country are combating the growing use of vapes among teens by installing sensors to detect the carcinogens in the air. On the WHOW Morning Show Wednesday, Blue Ridge School's Superintendent Ryan Payton told the Hart Media Group during the winter break they installed these sensors in restrooms and various other points in the building.
It's kind of been a goal of ours for a little while. We want to make sure that we are continuing to focus on students' wellness and providing safe and healthy environments for our students. And we basically have installed what they call Triton vape sensors, and those are installed throughout the high school campus. And it's really hopefully a proactive way to kind of address some health risks associated with vaping and kind of ensuring that our facilities are safe and healthy and we have productive learning environment. I think it's an issue across schools across the nation at this point. It's an issue that occurs more than we would like it to, and we want to make sure that we are putting in barriers and preventative ways to address those concerns.
Prior to the installation of the sensors, Payton indicates the district has been proactive in providing lessons and materials for students on the dangers of vaping.
So we've done a few different things along the way. Obviously, there's this, kind of education that is there, preventative education where people are, coming in to talk about the risks associated with vape usage. And, obviously there's the traditional ways of dealing with things in regards to, discipline that takes place, when those situations occur. Obviously, vaping is illegal for those individuals in our building. And so, there's discipline that takes place for that as well. And trying to look at ways to be proactive and educate in some way, shape, or form about the risks associated.
According to Payton, the sensors have a neat feature that allows them to track how many individuals may be in a room, and they also sync with the security cameras in the building in the event of an incident that requires a response.
We value student wellness. This is a super important piece, right? Our bodies, not only just the physical standpoint, but of that mental wellness as well. Right. And so it was an important concept for us to put in place. And, these sensors are pretty cool. They offer a lot of just technology benefits. They don't just kind of detect, chemical signatures from vaping devices, but, they detect high decibel noises, so if there's a commotion inside that restroom for some purpose, it'll detect that. It detects, how many individuals may be in a restroom. It uses different types of radars to determine that. And so it's another way for us to also to kind of monitor things in a private way, but make sure that we have safe spaces throughout our building. When those things hit, whether it's a chemical signature, whatever it may be, our admin receive notifications that go directly to those phones and they're able to respond to situations that are occurring in real time. So, but what's interesting about that, is that this program links to the cameras, right? And so it'll capture people coming in and out of the restrooms around those alert times. So it just helps be, for our admin to be more efficient too. And so they're not spending tons of time looking through video, right? So they can focus on instructional strategies and instructional practices and just other components of their job because, time is a limited resource.
Follow along with all things Blue Ridge Schools at blueridge18.org or find the district on Facebook. Now for your local obituaries. Mark E. McGlasson, 76, of Clinton, passed away at 12:05 p.m. January 5th at his home in Clinton. Private burial will be at a later date. The family entrusted Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton with cremation rights. Memorials in Mark's name may be directed to your local animal shelter. Online condolences may be made at calvertmemorial.com. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWitt County's #1 source for news, sports, police blotter, obituaries, and more. It's all free all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. The Argenta-Oreana Bombers led after the first quarter, but couldn't hold on to the lead as they fell to the Edinburg Wildcats by a final score of 55-50 in non-conference high school boys basketball action on Wednesday night in Argenta. The Bombers were led by Jackson Finch, who scored 19 points, 16 of which came from beyond the arc. Isaiah Parks had 16, while Carter Logue added 15 points, including 3 buckets from distance. The Wildcats were led by Cooper Armentrout and Trayton Davis, who scored 16 points apiece. Miles Norris had 7. With the loss, Argenta-Oreana falls to 5-9, while Edinburgh improves to 6-10. The Bombers will take on the Lincoln Prairie Conference rival Arcola Purple Raiders on Friday at 7 p.m. The Maroa-Forsyth Trojans got ahead early and never looked back as they took down the Meridian Hawks by a final score of 61-51 in non-conference high school boys basketball action on Wednesday night in Maroa. The Trojans had a 16-8 lead after the first quarter. The Hawks would fight back through the next 2 quarters, closing the halftime deficit to 27-22, and then they cut the deficit to 43-41 heading into the fourth. But Maroa-Forsyth would turn up the heat to secure the win. Cabron Lee led all scorers with 36 points for Maroa-Forsyth. Kenny Morris added 13 points, while Kobe Lane had 8. Meridian was led by Ted Jones, who put up 25 points, while Bryce Brown had 17. With the win, the Trojans go to 8-4, while the Hawks fall to 3-13. Maroa-Forsyth will take on Calvary Academy on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. A.J. Smith and Alex Hubergist scored 18 points apiece in Bradley's 93-66 victory against Drake on Wednesday night. Smith added 6 rebounds, and Hubergist shot 6 of 10, 6 for 7 from three-point range. Jaquan Johnson shot 5 for 7, 2 of 3 from three-point range, and 1 for 3 from the free throw line to finish with 13 points, while adding 5 rebounds and 3 steals for the Braves, who are now 11-6 and 4-2 in the Missouri Valley Conference. The Bulldogs go to 8-8 and 2-3 in the MVC. They were led by Jashawn Thomas, who posted 18 points. Drake also got 12 points and 6 rebounds from Andrew Aaliyah. Jalen Quinn also put up 11 points and 2 steals. Owen Dease's 28 points. JT Pettigrew added 21 points, and Valparaiso beat Illinois State 77-71 on Wednesday night. Dease also had 6 rebounds. Pettigrew made 5 for 9, 2 of 4 from three-point range from the field, and 9 of 13 from the free throw line, while they also had 6 rebounds. Rakim Cheney finished 3 of 5 from the field to finish with 8 points. The Redbirds fall to 12-4 and 4-1 in the Ohio Valley Conference. They were led by Chase Walker, who posted 20 points. Illinois State also got 17 points and 3 steals from Johnny Kinziger. Tyreek Coleman also had 13 points. Valparaiso went into halftime ahead of Illinois State 35-23. Dease put up 12 points in the half. Dease's 16 points second half helped Valparaiso close out the 6-point victory. Isaiah Stewart scored a career-high 31 points to help the shorthanded Detroit Pistons beat the Chicago Bulls 108-93 on Wednesday night. Detroit won for the 4th time in 5 games, despite playing without All-Star Cade Cunningham with a wrist injury, and fellow starters Tobias Harris with a hip injury, and Jalen Duren with an ankle injury. Stewart, who had his previous best of 26 points against Memphis on November 3rd, scored 11 points in the first quarter. Two-way player Dennis Jenkins added 6 rebounds and a career-high 15 assists. Ayo Desumu had 24 points for Chicago, which has lost 3 straight. Nikola Vucevic added 20 points and 16 rebounds, and Mattis Buzelis also had 20 points. Chicago led 77-76 at the end of the third quarter, but Detroit scored the first 7 points of the fourth to go up 83-77. The Bulls were unable to get anything going offensively in the fourth quarter. They missed 12 of their first 16 shots, including 8 of 10 three-pointers, and turned the ball over 3 times. That and a 14-4 edge on the points in the paint allowed Detroit to build a 101-87 lead with 2 minutes to play. The Bulls host Miami on Thursday. The Pistons host the Los Angeles Clippers on Saturday night. Oliver Moore and Connor Murphy scored during Chicago's 4-goal second period, and the Chicago Blackhawks beat the St. Louis Blues 7-3 on Wednesday night for their 4th consecutive win. Moore, Murphy, Louis Crever, and Landon Slaggert each had a goal and an assist as Chicago improved to 2-1-0 against St. Louis this season. Spencer Knight made 27 saves, and Nick Lardis, Jason Dickinson, and Andre Burakovsky also scored. Chicago went 3 for 4 on the power play, while St. Louis was 0 for 5 with the man advantage. The Blackhawks are 8 for 8 on the penalty kill during their win streak. Tyler Tucker, Otto Stenberg, and Nathan Walker scored for St. Louis in the opener of a 3-game trip. Jordan Binnington stopped 28 shots. Chicago grabbed control in the second. Stenberg tied it at 2 with his first career goal at 8 minutes and 22 seconds, but the Blackhawks regained the lead 35 seconds later on Murphy's first of the season. Slaggert got a piece of Colton Dock's shot at 12 minutes and 27 seconds, and Dickinson made it 5-2 when he redirected Crevier's shot for his 5th goal with 2 minutes and 36 seconds left in the period. Burakovsky added a power play goal 5 minutes and 11 seconds into the third. It was his first goal since December 20th and November 10th on the season. Both teams play again on Friday night. The Blues visit the Utah Mammoth, and the Blackhawks host the Capitals. More scores from the NBA last night. The Denver Nuggets beat the Boston Celtics 114-110. The Toronto Raptors took down the Charlotte Hornets 97-96. Sixers beat the Washington Wizards 131-110, while the New York Knicks took down the Clippers 123-111. The Atlanta Hawks beat the New Orleans Pelicans 117-100, while the Orlando Magic beat the Brooklyn Nets 104-103. The Phoenix Suns with a big win over the Memphis Grizzlies 117-98. The OKC Thunder beat the Utah Jazz 129-125, while the San Antonio Spurs took down the Lakers 107-91. Houston fell to Portland 103-102, and Golden State beat the Milwaukee Bucks 120-113. Looking around the NHL, just a few games. The Dallas Stars beat the Washington Capitals 4-1. Well, with the same score, 4-1, the Montreal Canadiens beat the Calgary Flames. The Utah Mammoth took down the Ottawa Senators 3-1, while the San Jose Sharks beat the LA Kings 4-3. Get highlights of your local high school program anytime by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Central Illinois News, Agriculture, and Sports Station, WHOW, on all of its platforms, AM, FM, and streamed online, are bringing all the great things happening at our local high schools to the radio in January. We're hitting the road for the WHOW High School Road Tour. Join us when we broadcast live from Hayworth High School from 9 to 10 in the morning on Monday, January 12th. Interviewing the Hayworth High School principal, athletic director, student council president, and one of the club's student presidents. This WHOW High School Road Tour stop at Hayworth High School is brought to you by these sponsors.